Latest world updates? Welcome back to Global News, your go-to source for the biggest updates from the USA and across the globe. Today, we are counting down the most impactful news stories you need to know right now. Before we jump in, make sure to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you never miss a world update. Let's get started with number 10. Today, first news. Trump issues stark ultimatum to Iran over Strait of Hormuz. US President Donald Trump has issued a final warning to Tehran, threatening to destroy Iranian power plants and bridges if the Strait of Hormuz is not reopened immediately. Labeling the upcoming deadline as Power Plant Day and Bridge Day, Trump warned that the United States is prepared to target critical infrastructure. The strait is a vital global artery, handling 20% of the world's oil and liquefied natural gas. The escalation follows Iran's rejection of a US proposal to end current hostilities, which Tehran dismissed as one-sided. Despite a previous 10-day extension intended for negotiations, Trump stated that only 48 hours remain before military action begins. He emphasized that the deadline for a deal has passed, promising significant consequences unless the shipping lane is cleared. Next news. War cripples global aid as supply chains collapse. Humanitarian agencies warn that the Iran-US conflict has severely disrupted the delivery of food and medicine to millions. The closure of the Strait of Hormuz and instability in Gulf hubs have forced aid groups to utilize longer, costlier routes, increasing shipment expenses by 20%. The World Food Programme reports massive delays in food transit, while the International Rescue Committee notes that life-saving pharmaceuticals remain stranded in Dubai. Surging fuel and insurance rates are straining budgets, forcing organizations to prioritize essential items over others. Experts warn that the conflict could plunge an additional 45 million people into acute hunger by June. With global supply chains facing their worst crisis since COVID-19, aid groups are pleading for increased funding and an immediate ceasefire. Next news. Dol Prasad Ariel sworn in as Speaker of Nepal's Parliament. Dol Prasad Ariel has officially assumed office as the Speaker of the House of Representatives in Nepal following a swearing-in ceremony on Sunday. President Ram Chandra Paudel administered the oath of office at the Presidential Palace, Sheetal Niwas. Ariel, a representative from the Rashtriya Swatantra Party (RSP), was elected unopposed after emerging as the sole candidate for the position. His appointment marks a significant political shift, as he becomes the first non-communist to lead the lower house in 18 years. A former two-time Minister of Labour, Ariel's rise to the speakership is notable for his diverse background. Born in Dading, he began his career as a restaurant labourer and tourist guide before working in Japan. Since joining the RSP as a founding member, he has quickly risen through the political ranks. As the 10th Speaker of the Hawa, Ariel will now preside over legislative sessions, with his first official meeting scheduled for Monday afternoon. His leadership comes at a crucial time for Nepal's parliamentary proceedings. Next news. China executes French national amid diplomatic tension with Paris. China confirmed the execution of 62-year-old French citizen Chan Taofumi on Sunday, following a 2010 death sentence for large-scale drug trafficking. The Chinese embassy in France stated that the law is applied without discrimination toward nationality. This execution has triggered a formal protest from the French Foreign Ministry, which expressed particular regret over the court's conduct. Paris alleged that Chan's defense team was barred from the final hearing, calling it a violation of fundamental rights. Chan, born in Guangzhou, was arrested in 2005 for leading a drug ring involved in $15 million worth of crystal methamphetamine. While China maintains strict anti-narcotics laws, it does not release official execution statistics. France continues to condemn the use of the death penalty. Next news. Over 70 missing as migrant boat capsizes near Libya. Dozens of people remain missing after a migrant vessel sank in the central Mediterranean on Sunday. The NGOs Mediterranean Saving Humans and Sea-Watch reported that the boat, which departed from Tajura, Libya on Saturday with approximately 105 passengers, overturned in a search and rescue zone under Libyan control, while merchant ships in the area managed to rescue 32 survivors and recover 2 bodies. Over 70 individuals, including women and children, are still unaccounted for. The incident occurred roughly 14 nautical miles northeast of the Buri oil platforms. Following the rescue, survivors were brought to the Italian island of Lampedusa for medical care. This tragedy follows a series of recent shipwrecks in the region, which remains the world's deadliest migration route. Aid organizations have renewed calls for state-led search operations, citing a significant increase in deaths and missing persons since the start of 2026 due to unseaworthy vessels and harsh weather conditions. Next news. Zelensky meets Syrian President al-Shara in Damascus. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky arrived in Syria on Sunday for a high-stakes meeting with President Ahmed al-Shara. This landmark visit, Zelensky's first to the country, focuses on defense cooperation amid an escalating regional war involving the US, Israel, and Iran. Sources indicate that the talks are centered on security expertise, particularly Ukraine's experience in countering Iranian-made drones, which have been a recurring threat in both the Ukrainian and Middle Eastern theaters. The meeting underscores a significant shift in regional diplomacy since al-Shara assumed the presidency in early 2025. Zelensky, who has been touring the Gulf to secure defense partnerships, is seeking to leverage Ukraine's military technology in exchange for regional security cooperation. President al-Shara has recently stated that Syria intends to remain outside the direct conflict unless attacked, emphasizing a focus on reconstruction and internal stability after years of civil unrest. This diplomatic outreach highlights Kyiv's growing role as a security partner in West Asia. Next news. Swinny slams FIFA over unaffordable World Cup ticket prices. Scotland's First Minister John Swinney has lashed out at FIFA, branding the upcoming World Cup in North America the most expensive in history. In a formal letter to FIFA President Gianni Infantino, Swinney argued that the dynamic pricing model has made tickets simply unaffordable for the Tartan Army. This summer's tournament marks Scotland's first World Cup appearance since 1998, a historic return now marred by financial barriers. With some tickets for the final reportedly reaching $10,990, Swinney emphasized that football belongs to the fans, not finances. He urged the sporting body to implement a fair, affordable model, noting that loyal supporters are being priced out during a global cost of living crisis. The First Minister insisted that the world's biggest sporting event should be accessible to everyone, rather than a luxury for the elite. Next news. Elite US commandos rescue wounded colonel from Iran. US President Donald Trump has confirmed the successful rescue of a highly respected Air Force colonel from deep within Iranian territory. The weapons officer, who ejected from a downed F-15E jet, survived nearly 2 days in the mountains before Navy SEAL Team 6 executed a high-stakes extraction. The colonel, currently receiving medical treatment in Kuwait for serious injections, managed to evade large numbers of Iranian forces before being recovered under heavy air cover. The mission involved destroying 2 malfunctioning US transport aircraft to prevent their capture. In the wake of the rescue, Trump issued a final ultimatum for Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz by April 6, threatening massive strikes on power plants and bridges if the blockade continues. Next news. King Charles leads royals at Easter service amid absences. King Charles III and Queen Camilla observed the traditional Easter Matins service at Windsor Castle St George's Chapel on Sunday. The monarch was joined by Prince William, Catherine, and their 3 children, marking a unified appearance for the core royal family. However, the gathering was notably thinner due to the absence of Prince Andrew and his daughters, Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie. The service follows Andrew's February arrest on suspicion of misconduct in public office. While the king prepares for an upcoming state visit to the US, he faces renewed calls from the family of the late Virginia Giuffre to meet with survivors of Jeffrey Epstein. Meanwhile, Archbishop Sarah Mullally made history by delivering the first Easter sermon by a woman at Canterbury Cathedral. Next news. DNA study links Shroud of Turin to India, reigniting global debate. A groundbreaking scientific study has thrust the Shroud of Turin back into the spotlight after researchers identified DNA traces from the Indian subcontinent on the ancient linen. Using advanced genetic sequencing, a team from the University of Padova discovered human mitochondrial DNA and plant matter native to South Asia embedded in the fabric. These findings suggest the cloth, venerated as the burial shroud of Jesus Christ, may have been manufactured in India or transported through its historic textile routes centuries before surfacing in Europe. While the India connection offers a fascinating link to ancient trade, skeptics maintain the shroud is a medieval creation. As the discovery goes viral, experts urge critical thinking, noting how science and faith continue to shape this enduring mystery.